ahead and get started with the foghorn. That's not the foghorn. Hold on.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Jamie. Well, I'm going to skip the foghorn tonight. We'll just make a noise and pretend we had the foghorn like Jamie does. Wah!
That's what I was going to do.
So, go ahead, Lisa. Hi, Abner. Welcome.
Good evening. Please be aware that the first hour and a half of this meeting will be recorded so that we can put it onto our website and our podcast and YouTube channel. We record in audio only. Feel free to use the podcast on our website along with your big book as a resource if you missed the study portion of the meeting. The study portion is also listed on the website so you can follow along. Tonight's recap will start on page 30 and end on page 31. And our study tonight will start on page 33 and end on...
Nope, starts on 31 and ends on 33.
Starts on 31 and ends on 33. Do we have any announcements?
I don't know. Hi, everybody. I'm Trish. I'm an alcoholic. And just a reminder to home group members, we did have a group conscience. I haven't gotten minutes out yet. Our next group conscience will be Monday, January 12th at 7:30 Eastern Time. So you can adjust those time zones to wherever it is you are. And good evening, everyone. I'm a recovered alcoholic, and my name is Trish. Welcome to the Lewisburg Primary Purpose Big Book Study Group. To prepare for our Big Book study, let's get focused by having a 3-minute moment of meditation followed by our family's foglight prayer.
And I'm a recovered alcoholic, and my name is Lisa. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to start the meditation in a minute, so please take a moment to get situated.
Please be aware of background noises when you are unmuted and sharing as to not distract others or yourself. We suggest we all observe Zoom etiquette. If you wouldn't do it in a live meeting, please don't do it here. And a friendly reminder, absence of profanity offends no one. Please keep yourself muted during someone else's share, and we will call on you in the order that hands are raised.
From the foreword to the first edition of Alcoholics Anonymous, we of Alcoholics Anonymous are many thousands of men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. To show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book and of this group.
For the meditation, some suggestions are focus on your breath and posture. Breathe in God and breathe out self. Go ahead.
Take this time to reconnect with God, let the craziness of the day drift away, and ask God to help you focus on the study.
And let's bring in those monks. Enjoy your time with God.
Okay, everyone, come on back. Let's have our secretary's report. Come on
Fog light
in, Jim.
prayer.
Good evening, fellow travelers. Are we going to do the fog light prayer first?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you.
God, let your love shine through us like a fog light, so that those who are lost, sick, and dying can find your love through us. Amen. Take it away, Jim.
Thank you. Okay, good evening, fellow travelers. Secretary report. My name is Jim F., and I'm your recovered alcoholic secretary. And I've asked our friend Linda to read the recovered statement. We read the notice to explain why many people in this group identify as recovered rather than recovering, and what it exactly means to be a recovered alcoholic. Take it away, Linda.
My name is Linda. I'm an alcoholic, recovered. We are not cured of alcoholism. Recovered but not cured, that presents a conflict to some alcoholics. If we were cured, we would be able to drink responsibly. No, we are not cured. The allergic reaction to alcohol will remain with us for a lifetime, but we have been restored to sanity. That was the problem. The main problem of the alcoholic centers in his mind rather than in his body. Page 23. And we are now sane where alcohol is concerned. Consequently, we have recovered.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us tonight. We meet every Tuesday starting at 5:30 p.m. Central Time with the Gerbil Fellowship Cage, where we chatter for an hour before the start of the meeting. Feel free to bring side dishes to share with the buzzards. Our Big Book study starts promptly at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, and we ask that you be courteous and ready to begin at the sound of the foghorn. We take our Big Book study seriously. Because of this, chat will be disabled during the study. In the 1940s, when the only elements to sobriety were God, a Big Book, and one recovered alcoholic working with an untreated alcoholic, the success rate was as follows. From the foreword to the second edition of Alcoholics Anonymous, page XX. Of alcoholics who came to AA and really tried, 50% got sober at once and remained that way. 25% sobered up after some relapsed. And the remainder, those who stayed on with AA, showed improvement. Can we have a show of hands of people joining us for the first time?
I think we've got a few. Welcome, everybody. Hi, Abner. Glad to see
Welcome,
you.
Abner. Welcome, Shana. Or was that Shana saying hi to Abner? Shana saying hi to Abner. Welcome, Abner. All righty. And then the recovered alcoholics. These are your potential sponsors. Hello, everybody. All righty. Is anyone celebrating a milestone this week?
Yes.
What you got, Kenny?
Tomorrow will make 7 years for me.
Wonderful.
Way to go, Kenny.
Thank you.
We don't,
Awesome.
Thank you, Kenny.
we don't give chips out ahead of time, but come in next week and we'll have it all ready for you.
Okay.
Woohoo. Congratulations. 7 years
Thank
tomorrow. Alrighty. And if you should require a big book of your own, we have large print editions available that can be sent to you by buzzard mail. Delivery time is questionable. Please remember to practice our seventh tradition by donating to the group address, Venmo, or PayPal posted in chat. Our suggestion is to purchase a big book and take an untreated alcoholic through the program of recovery. Please visit our website posted in the chat. Thank you, and see you next week.
Is that me or you? I forgot. I'll go.
It's blue.
It's from Chapter 2, There is a Solution. The tremendous fact for every one of us is that we have discovered a common solution. We have a way out on which we can absolutely agree and upon which we can join in brotherly and harmonious action. This is the great news this book carries to those who suffer from alcoholism.
This is an open meeting, and as such, all who have an interest in alcoholism and our program of recovery are welcome. Because this is an open meeting, you need not identify yourself nor your reason for being here if you do not wish to do so. Your anonymity will be protected. We ask that you protect ours.
While this is an open meeting, membership in this group is limited to those who wish to recover from alcoholism for good and all, and have a desire to stop drinking. Each member of Alcoholics Anonymous is a potential sponsor of a new member and should clearly recognize the obligations and duties of such a responsibility.
Before we begin our study of the Big Book, last week we reviewed Tradition 8. Tonight, let's take a quick look at Tradition 9. Please refer to page 562 of Alcoholics Anonymous, and come on in, Shayna.
Hi! I'm Shayna. I'm your recovered traditionalist tonight, and I am ill prepared. Hold on, please. Almost there. Okay. Tradition 9 is AA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. So Tradition 9 can sound confusing at first. How can something never be organized, yet we have boards and committees? But what the tradition is really talking about is the difference between organization and order. AA discovered early on that the moment we start acting like a rigid organization with bosses, rules, authority, and control, we start to lose the spirit that makes recovery possible. Alcoholics by nature don't do well with being told what to do, and more importantly, AA isn't built on power. It's built on spiritual principles, mutual help, and equality. So when Tradition 9 says AA ought never be organized, it means AA doesn't have a professional leadership structure. There's no CEO of AA. No one in AA has the authority to direct anyone's recovery, force decisions, or tell groups how to run. Every group is autonomous. Every member is equal. Our leaders are but trusted servants. They do not govern. But at the same time, AA does need some structure to function. Someone has to open the meeting. Someone needs to pay the rent. Literature needs to be printed. Phone lines must be answered so the still suffering alcoholic can find help at 2 a.m. And that's where service boards and committees can come in. These aren't bosses. They are helpers. They can take care of the practical responsibilities so that AA can keep doing what AA was created to do, help people recover. And these committees are always directly responsible to those they serve. That means the power flows bottom up, not top down. The fellowship makes decisions, and the service boards simply carry them out. Tradition 9 protects AA from becoming a hierarchy, but it also protects AA from falling into chaos. It keeps us right in that middle space where recovery can happen, guided by principles instead of personalities. To me, the heart of Tradition 9 is service without authority. It's about doing the work without owning it, helping without controlling, and remembering that AA isn't held together by rules. It's held together by willingness, humility, and shared purpose. Hang on. This tradition is what allows AA to stay spiritually grounded while still being able to function in the real world. It's a reminder that we don't need control to be effective. We just need commitment, community, and the desire to help the next alcoholic who reaches out. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Shayna.
Thank you, Shayna. Great job.
And thank you for your 3 weeks of service of being a traditionalist, and we will have a new traditionalist coming in next week. And And now it's time for our weekly installment of That Ain't in the Book. We hear a lot of stuff said in meetings that can't be reconciled with the program as described in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. One of the things we often hear is think through the drink. Billy, can you come on in and tell us what it says on page 43 in paragraph 4?
Once more, the alcoholic at certain times has no effective mental defense against the first drink. Except in a few rare cases, neither he nor any other human being can provide such a defense. His defense must come from a higher power.
Thank you, Billy. As we study, please make use of the pens, highlighters, and rulers so that you can share this experience with another alcoholic.
In order for us to stay focused as we study the Big Book, we use the Big Book Study Guide prepared by Joe and Charlie and Krusty Cliff of the Dallas Primary Purpose Group.
Tonight we are going to start our recap on page 30, which will be read by Nancy, and followed by our study portion that will start on page 31, and that will be read by Donald.
After the page is read, we will ask questions from the imaginary podium, starting back at our study portion that was read by Donald. The answers will be one sentence unless otherwise specified, and multi-part questions are simply a one-sentence answer split up by commas, semicolons, hyphens, and other fun bits of punctuation.
Basically, in English, what that means is that we are going to read the material once through and then dissect the information a second time through the question and answer format. Notice how the language in the questions gives us a new light in which to consider the study material.
This is important because hearing the question and rereading the content offers a definite way of comprehending the material covered. After we've completed the study, we open up for comment, questions, and observations based on what was just read. If you have spiritual experiences with this information, you are free to share. Please keep your share on topic and under 5 minutes. At the 5-minute mark, you may hear a timer beep to let you know your time is finished or to please finish up your thought and to wrap up your comment.
However, Big Book study is not therapy. Should you begin sharing on topics which are more appropriately discussed in a different setting, like with your sponsor, please do not be offended when we cut the conversation short and send the buzzards nipping at your heels. For that purpose, we have fellowship meetings before and after our study time.
And go ahead and take the next paragraph too, Lisa, and that way I'll get the other one.
You can never go wrong by commenting on the pages studied. Which brings us to the words of one of the co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous. Sobriety, freedom from alcohol, through the teaching and practice of the 12 steps, is the sole purpose of any Alcoholic Anonymous group.
And how we arrived at this point, we didn't just wake up this morning and randomly open the book to page 31 and say, hey, let's read this tonight. This is a 96-week study going from the title page, where we see our first promise of how many thousands of men and women have recovered from alcoholism. And we use Joe and Charlie's and Krusty Cliff's question and answer format to read through the preface, the forewords, the doctor's opinion, and all the pages of the program from 1 through 164. And then we also read Dr. Bob's Nightmare in the same format, and then we spend 4 weeks on the traditions, 2 traditions on each week. We go and study a spiritual experience, Appendix 2, 3 times within the study when the asterisk at the bottom of the page refers us to it. We also read and study the spiritual experience a 4th time as the closing week, as week 40, as of week 96 in our study. And then we cycle back and we do it all over again. This group has been in existence for 5 years, since 2020, and we are on week 23 of 96 weeks of our fourth season or our fourth time of going through the book. And regardless of how many times we've gone through, every time we go through it, I learn something new, and I find myself in the pages of the big book in new places. So keep coming back, and I hope you keep learning with us.
Yep. Before we start the recap, we will need 5 or 6 virtual hands raised if you would like to be one of our answer readers. Please be aware that the first hour and a half of this meeting will be recorded so that we can put it onto our website and YouTube channel.
And Nancy, come on in now with our recap.
Nancy Alcoholic. Chapter 3, more about alcoholism. Most of us have been unwilling to admit that we were real alcoholics. No person likes to think he is bodily and mentally different from his fellows. Therefore, it is not surprising that our drinking careers have been characterized by countless vain attempts to prove we could drink like other people. The idea that somehow, someday, he will control and enjoy his drinking is the great obsession of every abnormal drinker. The persistence of the illusion is astonishing. Many pursue it into the gates of insanity or death. We learn that we had to fully concede to our innermost selves that we were alcoholic. This is the first step in recovery. The delusion that we are like other people, or presently maybe, has to be smashed. We alcoholics are men and women who have lost the ability to control our drinking. We know that no real alcoholics ever recovers control. All of us felt at times that we were regaining control, but such intervals, usually brief, were inevitably followed by still less control, which led in time to pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. We are convinced to a man that alcoholics of our type are in the grip of progressive illness. Over any considerable period, we get worse, never better. We are like men who have lost their legs. They never grow new ones. Neither does there appear to be any kind of treatment which will make alcoholics of our kind like other men. We have tried everything imaginable remedy. In some instances, there has been brief recovery, followed always by still worse relapse. Physicians who are familiar with alcoholism agree there's no such thing as making a normal drinker out of an alcoholic. Science may one day accomplish this, but it hasn't done so yet. Despite all we can say, many who are real alcoholics are not going to believe they are in that class. By every form of self-deception and experimentation, they will try to prove themselves exception to the rule, therefore non-alcoholic. If anyone who is showing inability to control his drinking can do the right about face and drink like a gentleman, our hats are off to him. Heaven knows we have tried hard enough and long enough to drink like other people. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. And Donald, come in with our study.
Good afternoon, evening. I am Donald. I'm a very grateful recovered but not cured alcoholic. Continuing on, here are some of the steps that we have, or methods we have tried. Drinking beer only, limiting the number of drinks, never drinking alone, never drinking in the morning, drinking only at home, never having it in the house, never drinking during business hours, drinking alone at parties, switching from scotch to brandy, drinking only natural wines, agreeing to resign if ever drunk on the job, taking a trip, not taking a trip, swearing off forever with or without a solemn oath, taking more physical exercise, reading inspirational books, going to health farms and sanitariums, accepting volunteer commitments to asylums. We could increase this list ad infinitum. We do not like to pronounce any individual as an alcoholic, but you can quickly diagnose yourself. Step over to the nearest bar room and try some controlled drinking. Try to drink and stop abruptly. Try it more than once. It will not take long for you to decide. If you are honest with yourself about it, it may be worth a bad case of jitters if you get a full knowledge of your condition. Though there is no way of proving it, we believe that early in our drinking careers, most of us could have stopped drinking. But the difficulty is that few alcoholics have enough desire to stop while there is yet time. We have heard of a few instances where people who showed definite signs of alcoholism were able to stop for a long period because of an overpowering desire to do so. Here is one. A man of 30 was doing a great deal of spree drinking. He was very nervous in the morning after these bouts and quieted himself with more liquor. He was ambitious to succeed in business, but saw that he would get nowhere if he drank at all. Once he started, he had no control whatever. He made up his mind that until he had succeeded in business and had retired, he would not touch another drop. An exceptional man.
Every night, this is what happens.
Go ahead, Donald.
Okay. An exceptional man. He remained bone dry for 25 years and retired at the age of 55 after a successful and happy business career. Then he fell victim to a belief which practically every alcoholic has, that his long period of sobriety and his discipline had qualified him to drink as other men. Out came his carpet slippers and a bottle, and 2 months he was in a hospital, puzzled and humiliated. He tried to regulate his drinking for a while, making several trips to the hospital meantime. Then, gathering all his forces, he attempted to stop altogether and found he could not. Every means of solving his problem, which money could buy, was at his disposal. Every attempt failed. Though a robust man at retirement, he went to pieces quickly and was dead within 4 years. This case contains a powerful lesson. Most of us have believed that if we remain sober for a long stretch, we could thereafter drink normally. But here is a man who at 55 years old found he was where he had left off at 30. We have seen the truth demonstrated again and again. Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. Commencing to drink after a period of sobriety, we are in a short time as bad as ever. If we are planning to stop drinking, there must be no reservation of any kind, nor any lurking notion that someday he will be immune to alcohol. Thank you for letting me be of service.
Thank you, Donald. Great job. For our answer readers, please speak clearly into your microphones. We will ask the questions from our script by Joe and Charlie and Krusty Cliff. The answers to the questions will be sentence by sentence, coming directly out of this week's study, beginning with the first sentence and ending with the last one. And our batting order, we lost one. So Nancy, Linda,
Kenny. Kenny was the other one. Kenny, come back in.
Yes.
We miss you.
okay, so Nancy, Linda, William, Jacqueline, and Jim. Okay. Let's go. Bear with me, folks. Okay. So Nancy, start with you. Get a two-part question. What do alcoholics do to try to control their drinking? And B, did the things mentioned in this paragraph cover all the ingenious ideas alcoholics have? Read the entire paragraph.
Here are some of the methods we have tried. Drinking beer only, limiting the number of drinks, never drinking alone, never drinking in the morning, drinking only at home, never having it in the house, never drinking during business hours, drinking only at parties, switching from scotch to brandy, drinking only natural wines, agreeing to resign if ever drank on the job, taking a trip, not taking a trip, swelling up forever, with and without a solemn oath, taking more physical exercise, reading spiritual books, going to health farms and sanitary, accepting volunteer commitment to asylum. We could increase the list ad infinitum.
And I've got a bunch of comments tonight that I'm going to come in with, and this is the first two. So, make a list of things you have done to try to change the results of your drinking. Post it where you can see it frequently. And has any of these methods ever stopped the phenomenon of craving or the mental obsession in your experience?
Nope. And Linda, you have a two-part question. A, what do we not like to do? And B, what can a person do?
We do not like to pronounce any individual as alcoholic, but you can quickly diagnose yourself. Step over to the nearest bar room.
Stop and diagnose yourself.
That was it.
That was it? Okay.
And William, what is the first test that is suggested we try?
Step over to the nearest bar room, control drinking.
Thank you. And Jacqueline, what do they mean by controlled drinking?
And you're muted, Jacqueline.
Oh, I'm going to have to pass because I had no idea where you all are at.
Okay.
Okay, we'll skip to Jim. What do they mean by controlled drinking?
Try to drink and stop abruptly.
Okay. Now we're on page 32, Jacqueline. Okay. And Nancy, how many times should we try this test?
Try it more than once.
And Linda, how soon will the real alcoholic know if he is one of us?
It will not take long for you to decide if you are honest with yourself about it.
Thank you. And William, what price may be paid to learn the truth?
It may be worth a bad case of jitters if you get a full knowledge of your condition.
Okay. Jacqueline, you know where we are?
No. I'm on page 32. No, I don't.
Okay.
Second paragraph.
Just go on to Jim, Lisa.
Okay, Jim. What do most alcoholics believe, even though there is no way to prove it?
Though there is no way of proving it, we believe that early in our drinking careers, most of us could have stopped drinking.
Thank you. And Linda, what do these alcoholics lack that is essential for success in sobriety?
But the difficulty is that few alcoholics have enough desire to stop while there is yet time.
Okay, and William? Are some people successful in abstinence by their own willpower? 2 sentences.
We have heard of a few instances where people who showed definite signs of alcoholism was able to stop for long periods before a overpowering desire to do so.
Thank you.
And I've got a comment. Carefully read the study or the story of the man of 30 and learn 6 important facts about this thing called alcoholism.
Trish, I'm sorry. I got someone at the...
Okay, I'll take it. Jacqueline, you with us? Okay. What is the example they gave us in this story? And start with a man of 30.
A man of 30 was doing a great deal of spree drinking.
Thank you. And Jim, 2-part question. In what condition was he in the morning, and what did he do to take care of that condition?
He was very nervous in the morning after these bouts and quieted himself with more liquor.
Thank you. And a comment. Have you found it necessary to have a few drinks in the morning? Lisa, you back?
Yes, I'm trying to find out where we are.
Okay, I'll do the next question then with Nancy. It's a 2-part question. A, what was his goal? And B, what was defeating him?
He was ambitious to succeed in business, but saw that he would get nowhere if he drank at all.
Thank you. And
I'm still...
Linda, why is this so?
Once he started, he had no control whatever.
Thank you. And 2 more comments. If he had no control once he started, was he powerless over alcohol? And do you find any similarity with your own story here?
Okay, I think we're on William.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, get a 2-part question. What kind of man was he? And B, why was he so exceptional?
He made up his mind that until he had been successful in business and had retired, he would not touch another drop.
And another comment. How long were you able to manage your decision to stay bone dry after you decided to never drink again?
And Jacqueline, are you back?
Yes.
Okay. Did his 25-year period of sobriety pay off for him?
An exceptional man, he remained bone dry for 25 years.
Yes.
And retired at the age of 55 after a successful and happy business career.
Was his life unmanageable from age 30 to 55?
And Jim, once he retired, what did he believe?
Then he fell victim to a belief, which practically every alcoholic has, that his long period of sobriety and self-discipline had qualified him to drink as other men.
Could this be the type 3 alcoholic on page XXX from the doctor's opinion? There is the type who always believes that after being entirely free from alcohol for a period of time, he can take a drink without danger.
And Nancy, so what did he do?
Out came his carpet slipper and a bottle.
Thank you.
Is this chronic alcoholism a patient disease? The insidious insanity?
And Linda, after 2 months of drinking, what was his condition? Better or worse than it had been at age 30?
In 2 months, he was in a hospital. He was in a hospital, puzzled and humiliated.
Thank you.
We were told that alcoholism is a permanent disease.
Yeah. And William, a two-part question. A, did he try to control his drinking? And B, how well did he do?
He tried to regulate his drinking for a while, making 7 trips to the hospital in the meantime.
Thank you. And Jacqueline, you get a three-parter. A, what measures did he take? B, did he again decide to do what he had proved so successful at age 30? And C, was he successful in managing that decision?
Then, gathering all his forces, he attempted to stop altogether and found he could not. Every means of solving his problem.
That's it, huh?
Okay.
Patient, permanent, and progressive. The alcoholic disease will always be there, just waiting, and it will always get worse, never better.
Yeah. And Jim, how many ways did he really try to stop and stay stopped?
Every means of solving his problem which money could buy was at his disposal.
Yeah. And Nancy, how many attempts were successful?
Every attempt failed.
Are these attempts some of the methods we tried on page 31?
Yeah. And Linda, you get a two-parter. A, was he in good condition at age 55? And B, what did he do to stop drinking for good and all?
Though a robust man at retirement, he went to pieces quickly, and he was dead within 4 years.
That's one way to stop drinking. Again, the type 3 alcoholic from the doctor's opinion.
And William, are there one or more lessons in this story?
This case contained a powerful lesson.
Yeah. And Jacqueline, what do most of us believe that he also believed?
Most of us have believed that if we remain sober a long time, for a long stretch, we could therefore drink normally.
Yeah. And Jim, what did he find when he started drinking again?
But here's a man who at 55 years found he was just where he had left off at 30.
Yeah. And Nancy, what truth have we seen demonstrated repeatedly?
We have seen the truth demonstrated again and again. Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic.
Thank you. And Linda, if we can manage to stay sober for a period, will it be better when we start again?
Commencing to drink after a period of sobriety, we are in a short time as bad as ever.
Yeah.
If you were able to stay sober for a spell, was it better or worse when you started drinking again?
Worse. And William, you get the last question, I believe. If we really want to stop drinking for good and all, what is a condition that must be met?
Oh, yeah. If we are planning to stop drinking, there must be no reservation at any time, nor any lurking notion that someday we will be immune to alcohol.
In the final comment, does the story The Man of 30 show us that during a period of dry time, the allergy lays dormant, but is reactivated with the first drink? Does it show us our disease is still progressing even without the consumption of alcohol? And does it show us that the mental obsession always precedes that first drink?
Oh, yeah. Thank you, everybody, all of our answer readers. You can lower your hands. If you have experience with the portion of the book that was just read, please feel free to share. Please be mindful of your time and that others may have their hands raised and are waiting to share. A friendly reminder as we share, absence of profanity offends no one. We are now open for comment, questions, observation, and spiritual experiences based on what was just read. Linda.
Hi, my name is Linda. I'm an alcoholic. How many minutes do I have to share? 3?
5.
Oh, that's a long time. Okay, my name is Linda. I'm an alcoholic. This part right here, it's like, you ever read a really good mystery book and you get to the real meat and potatoes? That's what this is. And it's really, some of these, if you're paying attention, if it has you captivated, if you, like I said, if you're really paying attention, if you're interested, these stories, they transcend with me and my alcoholism and everything I've done. Doesn't make a difference if I was in the Bronx and this person was out west. I did the same thing. And it talked about the different methods, and that's so real. See, people that are not in AA, they can't understand. They talk about it's an addiction and this and that, and they just don't get it. They don't get it because they don't open up this book and they don't read it. They don't understand about the doctor's opinion. They don't understand about there's a solution more on alcoholism. They don't get it, and so they have that misconception, and it's, one lady told me, oh, you can drink, you haven't drank in a while. I said, no, I can't drink. And then she said it again. I said, why don't we change the subject? And I snapped at her when I said it. And she was like, oh, because I didn't feel like explaining myself to her. If I have to explain, she's never going to understand. She's just never going to understand. And I'm not going to sit there and argue with this lady about my disease. You're not going to tell me that I can drink. For me, to drink is to die. I haven't drank in 37 years. So guess what? I will try to make up for those 37 years. And it's like I told one newcomer, I'll be dead before the night is over. I would just go out of my mind. And this is exactly what you were saying, Trish, about it's dormant. It's sleeping. It's like the bear. Wake that bear up. That bear is hungry as hell. And he will eat 4 or 5 people and anything else. It's so real. And people just don't get it. That are not alcoholics, or maybe they're still in denial. They just don't get it. This disease is in my mind. It's not my foot. It's not outside doing push-ups. It's not sitting in the chair next to me. It's inside of me. My disease talks to me in my own voice. I like what one guy was sharing in the meeting. He said that when he first came around, his disease was like, oh, you didn't make a meeting? Look, nothing happened. So you're okay. So next week, don't make another meeting for 2 days. And then it got up to 3 and 4. Then he said before you know it, he was back to drinking. And this is what my disease tells me. It tells me it's okay to lie. It tells me it's okay to steal. It tells me it's okay to act out and do all kinds of crazy things. After all, you're not drinking. This is the insanity what the disease tells me. And see, if I start acting out and doing all those things, I'll end up with a drink. I will end up with a drink. That's why I have to be, spiritually fit. It's not just me putting the drink down. It's me being spiritually fit. How am I going to get to being spiritually fit? Opening up this book, reading it, and sitting down, going through the steps, understanding how they apply to me. What are they about? What are they saying? What are they telling me? How am I going to practice them? How am I going to apply it to my life? When I have certain problems, I'll turn around and I'll apply a step or a tradition. There was someone that I snapped at, and I had to, I thought about it and I had to understand this is a human being. I snapped at them for no reason. And I said, I got on the phone with them and I said, I just wanted to say one thing to you. I said, I apologize because I shouldn't have snapped at you. You did a beautiful job. I said, so I need to apologize. That's a 10 step, and this is my design for living. This is my guidelines, my steps, my traditions. I don't know where I would be without them. I just don't. I'd just probably be crazy. And I like that thing that it says NUTS, nuts, not using the steps. And one young lady told me, she said, but I keep relapsing. And I said, one day at a time. I said, for you, it's going to be 1 hour at a time. It's going to be 1 hour. I said, come to this meeting. Then there's another step meeting that she goes to. Then there's another big book. No, it's a big book meeting. No, it's a living sober. And then there's a big book meeting tomorrow. So I said, we need to go to these meetings, and there's a reason why. Because it will explain to you about your alcoholism. And you understand the things, why you do the things you do. And about this compulsive, obsessive, disorder that you have. And I said, it is the first drink that gets the ball rolling. She thought it was the fifth or the sixth. No, but thank God for the big book meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. And William, hi, come on in.
Yes, my name is William Alcoholic, and when I was in the grips of my alcoholism, I was clueless about all this information we're getting, about this. But whenever I come here and hear other people share, and that's how I begin to identify with it. I was in complete denial. I thought I had willpower. My mother and father had died when I was 2 years of age. I stopped smoking with my willpower, and I accumulate some materialistic stuff with my willpower. I think I could do that same thing in AA with that, what I call with that willpower, So I was laughing at the guy, 25 years without a drink. I couldn't last 2 weeks, I couldn't last 2 weeks. I said, I'm not going to drink. And as soon as I picked up that first drink, I was off to the race, And I would try to control it with them little ball of airplane, the one we have on the airplane. That's what I would do. I'll go buy me one of those. So this is it. It's that nip. This is what all I'm going to drink. And when that one leaves, I go get another one. And when that go, I come up with a great idea. You keep going back to the liquor store buying these bottles and stuff like that. Why don't you get you the big one? And that's what I would do, But I was clueless about what was going into my life. So I would see. I was afraid of being homeless and stuff. So I would say, I'm going to stop. I'm going to pay my rent. And I would get all my money straightened out and pay my bills and just sort everything out. And sometime I was successful and sometime I wasn't. Because I always leave that little bit of money. That's the drinking money right there. That's what I'm going to part of with. But I'm going to pay my bills. But once I started drinking, everything went, So, but I didn't know what was going on with me until I came to Alcoholics Anonymous and began to hear other people. Started from people. And the literature confirmed what the people say, because I didn't really believe a lot of stuff that y'all were saying, It wasn't until I began to read it in the literature and then my head started boggling like that, So definitely, I'm happy to be here, you know what I mean? And yeah, right. And I clearly didn't know what alcohol it was when I got here, and I didn't think it was me. But I like the way Bill says it in the 12 and 12. He said, once an alcoholic is a plan in the mind of another alcoholic, it's true malady. Yeah, he'll never drink safe again. Then he went on to say that in the pioneer China, they would only take those low bottom drunk, And today they could take somebody with 2 cars, a job, and a house, and all that good stuff because you got some information out there that you can see. Come to a meeting, listen, learn to listen, listen to learn, and learn to listen. And I had none of that stuff when I got it. I had none of that stuff. From 1989 to 1992, I was in and out of the room trying to do it my way, But I thank God I was able to come in here and sit down and let y'all hold me here until I could practice what they was talking about, And the old timers told me something like this, I like the way they used to give it to me. They say, I thank God always provided us with whatever we need to stay here when we listen. And they used to tell me only 10% of the drink, the other 90% of your thinking and your attitude. You know what I mean? And that is so true. But that 10% would kick that 90% right to the moon if I didn't address it, So I'm grateful today, I could come in there, no matter what goes on in my life, I haven't seen it necessary to pick up a drink because I know what alcoholism would do to me and I see what it does to people and stuff like that. So I thank God for bringing me to AA so I can be schooled and educated on what was going on with me, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty happy. Pretty reasonable. Feel good about my life today because of that. And I tell you, I had everything. Well, a so-called normal person would want, but I wasn't happy in my life because I came up with the spiritual principles into my life, And that's when I found happiness. Now, am I perfect happy? No way. But one thing I haven't found is necessary to drink because of that, And I got a program that I could use. So thank you so much.
Thank you, William. Hi, Jacqueline, come on in.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jacqueline M., and I'm an alcoholic. And thank you for this big book study. The more I go through this big book, the more it jump out at me. And chapter 3 for me is it's devoted to step 1. I wish I would have. Um, uh, my mind was open when I was introduced to Alcoholics Anonymous in 1980, but today. I didn't understand the disease. I couldn't accept the spiritual remedy of this program, so I had to go out and do some uh, more controlled drinking. Uh, I had no idea that I had lost control. I like the methods of it. I tried drinking beer alone. I was limited my drinking. Uh, uh, Try not to, never drink alone. Uh, uh, Never drinking in the morning because I thought, if a person drinking in the morning, of course, it was an alcoholic. And not having it in the house and all of this, not going to work, drinking. And I did not know then, but I know today, when I got back to Alcoholics Anonymous in '84, that I was under, like it says on page 30, I was under the grip of a progressive illness. I had no idea. That's why I couldn't stay still. There was many times that I could stop, but the trick was I couldn't stay still. And then there was people that I knew that was worse off than I was, and where it says no person like to think he is bodily or mentally different from his fellows. Why are they in Alcoholics Anonymous? Why not in Alcoholics Anonymous? You know, um, and I had to. What should I? It says the delusion that we are like other people and presently may be had to be smashed. You know, I was the one with the problem. I was the one that could not stop drinking. You know, um, and when I got here, um, I always like to say I was taken to a place to become willing. You know, um, because when I got here, I, I really wasn't honest. My mind was still closed, but I was taken to a place, and today I know it was an act of providence. And I kept coming back, and I began to hear you all share. My sponsor began to take me through the big book, Alcoholics Anonymous. Uh, and I could admit that I was an alcoholic because everybody else was in the rooms was saying, I'm powerless over alcohol. And it's a different, and I'm meaning something that for me, then, like it says, conceding to my innermost self that I was an alcoholic. I had to concede, not just because I had admitted a lot of things and went back on it, but it was until I conceded that I was to my innermost self that I was an alcoholic. This was the first step of recovery. The first step of recovery. And everything else has been wonderful. I have received the gift of recovery. Uh, uh, and I like this, it says on page 33, if we're planning to stop drinking, there must, and a lot of people say there's no must in Alcoholics Anonymous, but there's a lot of musts in our musts and if, you know, um, um, we must, there must be no reservation of any kind, nor any looking notion that someday we will be immune to alcohol. I have to remember that even though I'm not drinking today, I still suffer with alcoholism, that ism. And I like to think that ism is I, self, and me, and when I, self, and me get in the way, I'm easing God out of my life, so that reservation that, hey, uh, had to be smashed, because I would go around saying, oh, one day I'm going to have a Heineken, but that had to be snatched. I keep them back now.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Trish.
Hi, everybody. I'm Trish. I'm an alcoholic. And good job tonight, Lisa. I'm going to touch on the Man of 30 story because for a while that was one of my most favorite parts of the book. And it really paralleled a part of my life for a while. And it wasn't that I came in and had reservations about drinking, so I stopped for a little while and then started again. But circumstances in life, I stepped away from meetings. And I'm not talking about a week or a month, I'm talking about a couple, like 4, 5, 6 years. I didn't drink during that time, but I was miserable. I still considered myself a member of AA, but I was not active. And as life went on, my singleness of purpose became raising my son. And that was it. And as he got older, I was recognizing he's not going to need me much anymore as he gets older. And I need to find something to do. And I didn't realize how close I was to a drink until God brought me to a meeting. And I truly believe that. And sometime outside of the meeting, if you want to talk, I'll tell you the whole story behind it. But God brought me to a meeting, and they were reading this part. And that's when it dawned on me how close I was to picking up another drink because of so much time away from the meeting. And I knew, I was well aware, self-knowledge, but we all know self-knowledge gets us nowhere. Self-knowledge, I knew that by not going to meetings, I was putting myself in a dangerous spot, but I was too focused on everything else and not on me. But when I realized they were reading this story, the full awareness came in because that's when I realized how close I was to a drink and how close I could have been to dying if I had picked up a drink. And that's not what I wanted out of life at that point in my life, but that's the path I was heading. So, of course, once I realized that, I got back involved in meetings, I got a new sponsor, I started talking to people, showing up, suiting up, and doing exactly what I did when I first came in, because I had to start acting like a newcomer all over again. Because I had to get that connection back with everybody in the rooms. I had to get the connection back with my higher power. And I had to start feeling like I was a part of. I had no reservation or any thought that I was going to drink. But because I had been away from a meeting for so long, even though he wasn't drinking, he just didn't, or even though he wasn't anybody who went to meetings, he didn't drink for a while and then figured, it's been long enough, I can drink safely. And while I never thought about drinking, it hit me in that meeting how close I was to unconsciously planning a drink, perhaps. Because my primary purpose of raising my son was going to be outgrowing me soon. And what else was I going to do but? Because that's what I knew how to do by not doing anything, by not being involved in meetings. So thank God, God got me back into the rooms, and I'm convinced of that. And got me to double down on what I did, going to meetings, talking to people, getting a new sponsor, calling them, reading the book, getting active. And it really, really, we talk all the time, find yourself in the book, find a way to bring this book alive. It really brought that story alive to me because I knew that's exactly where I was and I didn't want to head there. So what was my solution to not heading closer to a drink was to get to a meeting, get involved with people so that I could get myself closer to you guys and closer to God and hopefully further away from a meeting. Thanks.
Thanks, Trish. And I guess I'll go. Yeah, what a great read. Boy. All of these methods, I believe, to some degree, I did. And not just once. over and over and over, trying to prove it. I mean, what's this? The persistence of the illusion is astonishing. You know, the delusion. You know, that we are like other people. It has to be smashed. You know, I compared. You know, I lived with another alcoholic, and I compared my drinking to his, and you know, I didn't drink in the morning. I didn't drink for days or weeks at a time, and you know, I wasn't that bad. That was my denial. I wasn't looking at what happens when I put booze into me. I drink till it's gone. I mean, I was still trying to drink and nothing was staying down. I mean, that's, you know, that's sick. You know, I never, you know, I just never got it. You know, this guy, 25 years, you know, and within 2 months, that's scary stuff. You know, I had brief periods, you know, months, couple of times I had a year, once 2 years. But, you know, I fought my way through it. You know, a lot of it was I'll show them, trying to prove to myself, you know, because if I could stop for certain periods, how can I be an alcoholic? You know, I'm just trying to prove that I was different, that I could do it over and over and over, and to the gates of insanity and hell. I mean, that is insanity, right? Trying to do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, and I did it. That's what I was doing. The big lie. I like that. Jacqueline said, the ism, I, self, and me. Oh yeah. Like, I'm all I thought about. And that, you know, that blew my mind, you know, working on my step work, because I had such self-esteem stuff, you know, and it's insanity. It's insane. I was insane. You know, learning about the obsession, that spiritual malady and the obsession, and I didn't have a clue. You know, I never went to big book meetings. You know, I didn't read the book. I won one a few times, but they stayed up in my bookcase. You know, I pick it up, maybe read a page, but nothing sunk in. You know, this study has been huge for me. You know, every time we read it, every time we pick it up, every week, I'm reading about myself and my disease, and learning more and more every time. And yeah, and in 2 months, waking up in the hospital, puzzled and humiliated. You know, and when those feelings came, if I even recognized them, they just turned to anger. I was angry, pushed them all down, and the anger came out. The fight continued, you know, the fight to prove I was different, fight to prove that I could do this on my own, that I didn't need anybody. Yeah, it's insanity. And to drink after a period of sobriety, you know, how many times I did that? It's embarrassing. But yeah, I'm really grateful tonight. Glad to be here, and thank you, everybody. Billy.
Oh, there. Okay. Hi. And I'll call it. My name is Billy. Yeah, I read and follow along with these readings. And I hear about a fellow that quit drinking for 25, 30 years. And I think, well, now there's some willpower. Okay? Because at some point, I was in and out of meetings, and there was something about, trying near beer. Okay? I was on a medication, I think. And somebody said, well, just, go get a 6-pack of near beer and you can have that. Well, I did that. And after the third one, I got pissed off at the near beer. Where I live, that's not a swear word, okay? It's just a adjective. And I went to the bar. And that wasn't even 3 hours. So I didn't have any staying power to not drink, ever. That was one test. I think there was a second short-lived test somewhere in my drinking years, but my drinking years started out blurry and stayed blurry. I didn't not drink because I had to work today. Okay? 1 or twice I was still pretty tanked up, and I went into work anyway and thought I was going to get fired because I'd get caught. That wasn't fun. And it certainly wasn't the self-inflicted stress of trying to not get caught, being 3 sheets to the wind at 10 in the morning. So this man's story, and the stark reminder that my ism is doing push-ups and waiting, because I know how I drank. And I, among a few friends, claimed that it was alcohol abuse to not finish your beverages. How dare you? We provided this for you, and you're not finishing it? What is the matter with you? This was my thought process. Now, I certainly didn't go around after the party ended and drink the kitchen sink stew. No. But I know people that did. And reading this and listening to you all, over the last couple of days, a dear friend, a young fellow that I've known since he was basically a teenager, and he came into these rooms, and the other day he posted a picture celebrating with his girlfriend and a whiskey sour. And he posted that on Facebook. Now this kid, okay, who literally got sober before he was of age and put himself through college in order to have a wonderful career and life, and stayed sober through becoming a nurse and all the tests and all the pressure to become a nurse. And for him to post that whiskey sour, it just breaks my heart. And a whole lot of us posted, we didn't say anything. Nobody wanted to harass him. But we all posted the I care emoji on Facebook. And there's a whole lot of I cares. And apparently people that he knows that may also be his age in drinking, were all celebratory with him. I hope he makes it back. That's all I can do is pray for him and wait. So, but, you know, to watch it, you know, and I've stayed sober like 3 times or something. I haven't done the math. Whoops. It's been a lot longer than I drank. And I don't dare go out now. There's like 3 things I'm afraid of, and drinking is on the top of the list. Thank you.
Thanks, Billy. Donald.
Hey, that's me. Good evening, everyone. My name is Gandalf the Red Pickle, aka Donald the Alcoholic, and but recovered, but not cured. And you know, when we first come into these rooms, we tell people and stuff, you know, read the big book. You'll find your story in there. And you know what? This is my story. You know, I stopped drinking for a while, 3 years, but I had that preconceived notion that Alcoholics Anonymous would help me with my control of drinking. Not stop it altogether, but have that illusion of control. And we can't have that. You know, after a 3-year sobriety, a dry drunk, as you will, I was invited to have a beer with the guys after work. And we know what one beer, you know, sounds good and stuff. You know, it's like, hey, I've had 3 years. I think I can handle 1 beer. No. 2 years later, I had an accident that took the life of somebody. And I should have been dead instead of that person. I wish I could have been, you know, because that person was doing the right thing by going to pick up his daughter to, you know, because she was doing the right thing. That she had too much to drink at a party and didn't want to drive. But, you know, whenever I drank, you know, that logic flew right out the door. I just suppressed it with another beer and forgot about it and just got behind the wheel. We know that we can't do that. But, you know, the time was different. The consequences could have been the same. But yet, you know, it's still my story. And I still have to be so thankful and grateful that I made it back into these rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous and was able to read the book, go through the book, go through the steps with the sponsor, actually 2 of them that knew what they were doing to get me through. And so today I'm a changed person. And I am so glad to be part of this group. I'm so, you know, I'm also glad to be part of Alcoholics Anonymous. Because, you know, I feel that, you know, I make a difference nowadays. Instead of take for granted what had been freely given to me before, that I just didn't work the steps. I didn't get a correct sponsor. And so I'm just happy to be here. And Cindy, that puppy looks so spoiled. That's all I got for you guys. Thank you for being part of my journey.
Thank you, Donald. Larry, come on in.
Hey, I'm Larry. I'm an alcoholic. I read this story, and I saw the great how it showed the progression of alcohol much in it until
Larry, you're going in and out.
oh, I'm sorry.
I'm going to cut your video and that could help. Keep talking.
I was when I first started, and I would at a time, and I quit. My mind said I really thought that was me deciding conceive speaking to me that I needed my alcoholism, and I didn't even know if to the fact that was where I should have went. I was Alcoholics Anonymous for I can't for months, and I decided to my solved and to his funeral, and I had just gotten said that I could go. They strictly said that I was not ready, but I went anyway, and I said that I was fine. I was good, and I had reservations from the very beginning when I got into Alcoholics Anonymous. I had saved some enhancements, and I brought those with me. Just in case, I told myself, in case I needed them, my ex might start some stuff, and I would need something to calm my nerves or whatever, because I didn't want to drink, and so I didn't get off the ground before I had taken something and was not sober, and that lasted for an entire week. I had not. There wasn't a sober day or a sober minute, I guess, an hour that I had for that entire week. But I found that it did not hit me where I needed to be. And what I found at the end was this, that I finally found that I was an alcoholic because the thought hit me that I needed alcohol. That was what I needed to get me where I needed. And it scared me. It scared me so bad that I got into Alcoholics Anonymous. I found my sponsor. I told them I changed my sober date, and I'd been sober ever since, for the last almost 15 years in January. And I'm so glad. The progression of this disease, it's there and it's real. And no matter where you are, you've got to keep a keen eye and a keen heart and do as it requests. And I'm so glad that I got to share and be here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you, Larry.
Jim, come on in.
Hey, good evening, fellow travelers. Jim F., an alcoholic. What a great reading tonight, and thank you everybody who shared their experience, strength, and hope. I can relate. I could identify with the swearing off. When I grew up in a house where everybody drank, or 90% of us drank alcohol, and I didn't see that as a problem. I saw, the drunks were the people with the winos with the paper bags, the homeless guys. That was my idea of what an alcoholic was, and or the ones that got admitted to institutions and all this stuff. But anyway, something happened. I had a back injury at work, and it didn't go well. I had surgery and all that. I got a resentment over that, and the wife and I were splitting up, looking like we might. And so I went to the priest, and he sent me to an alcohol counselor. And then I got into therapy with him, and she didn't want to go to therapy because she said she didn't have a problem. But, then I found out about alcohol and alcoholism. I was 24 years old, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. The denial had been cracked. And I got into Al-Anon thereafter, and was like doing that deal. And that's when I swore off. I had 12 stepped. A friend of mine, he went in that he was the guy that we'd all go out drinking. And he's a guy that got angry when the bar closed down because he couldn't continue drinking. And we'd have to get him home and make sure he drove him home because he was too drunk to drive and this and that. So I could see how he had a problem. And, he showed me his 30-day chip. I'll never forget it. And I just scoffed at it. I had contempt prior to investigation because I had quit drinking probably for like 3 months at that time, doing it on the, white knuckle or whatever. And I had contempt prior to investigation about it, the one day at a time thing. And so anyhow, he stayed sober a long time. Then he had a slip for a week or two, and then he got back in the program. And he's still sober as far as I know today. He doesn't go to meetings though. And to me, I've been going to these meetings for it'll be 24 years coming up in March of next year. I haven't had a drink in 24 years, but trust me, there was a lot of wreckage. I didn't drink a lot, but when I did drink, it caused a whole lot of problems. And I was causing wreckage and problems without taking a drink. I was like the guy who came up from the storm cellar. Hey, they grabbed the windstop, bro. There's nothing wrong here. I was a tornado in women's lives. I was insanity because I didn't have program, and then I didn't have a relationship with a power greater than myself that could direct my thinking each day And now I turn my thinking over every morning, get in conscious contact, go to a number of meetings every day. I'm fortunate that I can do that. And I want to thank all the people that shared earlier. They were great. And thank you for your experience, strength, and hope. Glad to be here. And I'm going to listen. Thanks.
Thanks, Jim. Cindy.
Hey there, Cindy Alcoholic. On page 33, what caught my attention was, if we are planning to stop drinking, there must be no reservation of any kind, nor any lurking notion that someday we will be immune to alcohol. And then I wrote beside that, the allergy remains dormant. And so I had to kind of look up words. So reservation in AA refers to a person's unwillingness or hesitation to fully commit to the recovery process. It's a mental block that prevents an individual from fully accepting and embracing the changes necessary for sobriety. And then the lurking notion. In Alcoholics Anonymous refers to the idea that some individuals may have a lurking notion of immunity to alcohol, suggesting that they might one day be able to drink without consequences. This kind of spoke to me because I have a friend in AA who had 3 years, and she went to a wedding, and she said before she even knew it, she had shots of whiskey lined up in front of her, and she was taking them. And she goes, I don't even, like, she was so dead serious. She's like, I don't even understand why I did that. And I guess, you know, it spoke to me, her story there, because I have been lately wanting to go out, and I guess that's when it creeps up on you, is when, if you do go out where there is temptation, I guess, you know, then it just makes me think, second guess about going where do I want to go out and why? What's my motive for going out? You know, yeah, I am lonely at home. I'm an empty nester now. My kids are gone. But yeah, I got to think why do I want to go out? So anyways, thanks for letting me share.
Thanks, Cindy. Sheila, come on in.
Everyone, I know I was listening on the side and was listening to all the shares. Sheila Alcoholic. And I listened to the question answered. I got home late, thank God, because of work. Axel was working today. And that's all because of this program. You know, I'm very grateful. But what caught my attention, of course I went and I read this section. Thank you, Jim. A man of 30. Okay, so I came in at 62. And I came in drinking from 14 every day. And what amazes me is how his business was his higher power, which was what motivated his regulation and his discipline. And once his higher power ended, he didn't have anything to turn to. Because I was mentioning God in here. And I see that he had a lot of money, and he went to probably doctors and psychiatrists and mental, and you know, in those days, institutions. And he probably tried to solve the problem with human power. But I don't see anything here about the spiritual power that would match his cravings and his obsessions. And, you know, I know we're not at that section yet, but that self-will run riot isn't going to work, and discipline isn't going to work either. You know, he could try to control the whole situation, and his sobriety, he wasn't sober because it even says dry for 25 years. Now there's, you know, for newcomers, I didn't understand in the beginning that there's like three, you know, there's different levels here. There's the physical, there's the emotional, there's the mental and the spiritual levels, and dry is just physical. You know, it's the lowest of the rungs, I think, because the physical depends on everything rests on the spiritual, to grow and to be reinforced and to and for us to mature and grow towards something big and huge that isn't just going to leave us when it ends, and that would be what I choose to call God. And so I feel really sorry for this guy dying like that miserable, robust at retirement, went to pieces quickly, because his God was just temporary and self-centered and based on monetary principles. And so anyway, I've been going to meetings every day for 9.5 years. Literally, I think I've missed maybe 6, and because I was either in the hospital or in surgery or something like that. But yeah, meetings, accountability, sponsorship, regular scheduled sessions with my sponsor, no matter how together I feel like I am. And this book and these steps, the elevator's broken, take the steps. So I'm very glad thank you for letting me share.
Thanks, Sheila. Anybody else? All right, I think we had a meeting. Trish, you taking us out?
I will read our closing and then you can take us out. So from page 164 of our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your own house is in order, but obviously you cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is the great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then.
Thank you, everybody, for a great meeting. And let's join me close with a moment of silence for the alcoholic who still suffers. And then with the Lord's Prayer. My hand up on the screen.
What we do here, Abner, since you're new, is since we can't gather around the table to hold hands, we hold our hands up in the screen, and that way we can connect with each other as we're praying out.
That's it. Thank you, Trish. Here's your moment. Who brings us to
God.
God?
To accept things I cannot change. Courage to change the
Our
things I
Father,
can.
who art in heaven, thy will be thy name. Thy will be
Thy
done
kingdom come.
on earth
On
as
earth
it is
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our
Day our daily bread.
as we forgive our
Forgive us
trespasses,
our trespasses,
as we forgive those who trespass against us.
and
And lead us not into
temptation,
temptation, but deliver us from evil.
For
For
thine
thine
is
is
the
the
kingdom,
kingdom,
Thy is the
power,
kingdom,
and
power,
glory
and the
forever.
glory.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank
Coming
you.
back
Thank
to
you.
your work.
Thank you, C.
That was a
Abner,
mixture of
I
both,
hope to see
Claire.
you again.
I put my number in the chat for you.
Good to see
I got it.
everybody.
Thank you so much, Linda. I got it.
Abner,
See
I
ya,
hope we
Abner.
see you again.
Right.
Bye.
Good night.
Larry,
Bye.
Trish, I blame you
The
for that.
stairs are bouncing.
You jinxed me.